Hello and welcome on to yet another episode of Life from Thrive on how we thrive in times of uncertainty and insecurity. My name is Ketki Sood and I will be your host for the series. Before I introduce this very interesting topic, I just want to mention that we do plan to take time out for some questions. So feel free to put them on the chat in the conversation or the discussion panel, and we will try to make sure to answer at least one or two. And if not, we also have a LinkedIn group that I'm sure that you're probably part of. And if not, feel free to join. The link is already provided. So let's get started. Ikigai, I think by now some of you are probably familiar with the term. It is a reason for being. So that puts a question in my mind. Am I clear about the direction that I am taking in my life? Do I feel like my life has been worthwhile or worth living for now? Am I doing what I think I should be doing in my life? If these are the questions where you have an answer saying no, then you're really in the right place here. And if the answer to these questions is yes, then we want to learn from you. You're actually an inspiration for all of us. And to present today, we have a very exciting speaker who has actually been an inspiration as well. Reema Gupta, who has been the head of Center for Learning and Management Practice at the Indian School of Business. She founded the Women's Excellence Initiative at ISB, a platform for dialogue and learning for women professionals. Reema's area of research is in understanding the challenges women entrepreneurs face in scaling up businesses. Before joining academia, Reema has worked for EMC Corporation in Boston and was recognized as the top 10 women to watch in science and technology for her work. She has even recently written a children's book, The Dot That Went for a Walk, which highlights 51 inspirational women from India across 51 different professionals. What a fantastic speaker we have today. Welcome, Reema.
Thank you, Ketki, for that nice introduction. And thank you, Shivangi, for introducing me to Thrive with Mentoring. I think it's a great platform. It's grown, and warm welcome to all of you. Warm because I'm in Hyderabad. It's 40 degrees Celsius here, so it is quite warm. And I can see some of you in coats and jackets. So I hope we can transfer some of the warmth from Hyderabad. So I think, again, Ketki, you gave us a very good intro. I think the idea is to figure out if we really understand what our purpose for being is. And a lot of times we don't, and a lot of times it changes. And part of it is that it is okay. The Ikigai is not, it's a tool and it's a journey. So I think it's okay if we don't know where we are going, what we don't, or, if we are not aware. The idea is to consciously make some choices that we do in life and not live by accidents. And one of the things that I put this initial diagram, all of you can see the slides, right? That's put up. Excellent. So, I feel like we as women, especially, we take on a lot of things. We are generally known as superwomen, multitaskers. And, that's when our energy, if you see, gets dissipated, right? The idea is to find that one core thing where we want to focus most of our energy so we can really achieve in that one particular area that we want to focus on. And this picture, actually, I've been reading a lot of books. It's called Essentialism, and it talks about how do you find and kind of focus on something that's essential to you. And that will be the theme throughout this conversation. One of the other things that I did want to point out is that, this is not just, of course, this session today is for our own individual growth, but I think it's also, I've seen that many of you are HR professional or coaches in life. And this is a tool that you can actually use in an organization. And one of the things is that I'll quote a few studies. So there have been a lot of surveys that have been done, and they say that in most organizations, when you look at employee engagement, right, 70% of the employees are not engaged. Now that's a huge number, 70% of employees not engaged. And again, they did this further drill down where you look at millennials, you look at different people in your workforce, and they found that, most of them are looking for meaning, yet less than 50% see their calling in their work. So of course there is a disconnect, right? We are looking for meaning. We are trying to understand how does our work add, and we don't find that meaning, and hence we are disengaged. So as we go through this, just keep that at the back of your mind that, hey, these tools can be used and you can sharpen this to actually create more engaged employees. And maybe there is a very interesting study done by Jane Dutton and Amy Brzezinski, which talks about job crafting. So a lot of organizations do job design. The other aspect that we forget is something called job crafting, which is about how do you enable the employees to, within that overall job description, to craft their own jobs that will give them meaning. So just keep that as a larger umbrella, and at the end, I'll take some questions if you have, if you want to talk about this further, because I've done a lot of research and read up a lot on this area. So moving forward, again, one second, I'm trying to see. Okay, so you see the slides changing, right? Awesome. And Ketki, you'll be my timekeeper, so just let me know when 5 minutes and 10 minutes are done, because I do. So again, Ikigai is a Japanese concept. It was, how many of you here have read, if you could just put your hand up, have read this book, Ikigai? Okay, so great. So I'm assuming for others, it's a relatively new concept. Just to give you a background, it's a Japanese concept. Iki means life and Gai means worth. So what is your life worth? What is the reason for being? It roughly translates into. It is from this very tiny island in Japan called Okinawa, where this is part of the philosophy of their life. And one of the interesting things that a researcher found was that in Okinawa has the highest number of centennials. That means people living over the age of 100 in this tiny little island. And of course, there are many things. They live in a very natural environment. Their diet is very rich with fish and the natural produce that occurs there. So of course, there are many factors that contribute to longevity. But one of the things the researchers think also is this concept of Ikigai. And as they said, it's the reason that gets you up in the morning. So while I'm talking, maybe think about things that, and you can jot it down, that get you up in the morning. So I'll just give a little bit of a minute. So again, as I said, Ikigai is the journey of self-discovery. It is your reason for being, and it is very important to keep that in mind, that it is a journey and not an end goal, because I'll give you examples of my life as well. As when Ketki was talking about it, right? I studied engineering and technology. I joined EMC Corporation, which is a technology. They build big data storage devices. They were recently acquired by Dell, and now they're called Dell EMC. And one of the things was I loved working there because we were part of this R&D group. It was very exciting. We were competing with IBM, so we had a big target, right? It's the big bad brother, and here is a small startup that's trying to catch up. And the R&D team, the research and development team, was given a lot of importance because we are coming out with new products. And we thought we were the king. And our stock, actually, when I joined, it was around $10. It went to $100. We thought no end of ourselves. And again, as I could apply a lot of the engineering knowledge that I'd learned, because we were really designing new products. And of course, when the dot-com bubble burst, we went from $100 to $5. And that was a huge awakening for us, because, here we thought we were invincible. And when we went back to $5, it was like, hey, why are our products that we thought we have designed this great product no one is buying now suddenly? And it was a huge wake-up call, and we realized that the world had changed. So it was no longer, IBM was no longer our competitor. We were looking at the wrong one. It was NetApp, which was a small startup at that time, but had suddenly come up, and they had devised different products and targeted towards a different marketplace. And that was the internet marketplace, right? Where they don't want those big industrial machines. They want something quick, and they wanted something that is cheap. And suddenly our machines could not sell in those places. So we had to completely refocus and rethink, and literally as an organization rediscover ourselves. Okay. So moving forward, it's already 10 minutes. Okay. So the Ikigai framework, bringing it to your own self, there are 4 key things that you need to answer. And again, there will be a handout given to you at the end of the session where you'll kind of answer these questions for yourself. The first one is, what do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need? And what can you be paid for? And I'll again walk you through each one very quickly in the interest of time. And what I would recommend is that you look at this. There is a worksheet given to you at the end of this lecture, and you create list for each one of them. Each of these questions, please create a list so that you kind of find where are the intersecting points, right? And again, the key is that intersections, you have to look for intersections. Imagine if there's something you love, but you're not good at. The question you should be asking is this something I want to become good at? And if I do, what is the kind of training I want to take to be able to become good at it? So again, the magic really is at the intersections. It's not in each of the bubbles. And I love Calvin and Hobbes, but given the interest of time, I'll let you read it. It's the classic, right? He's saying it's only work if somebody else makes you do it. So moving forward, again, when you talk about, again, I'm going to go very quickly to it. When you are trying to look at, start with the first question, am I good at, right? How do you find that? Either you've gotten some certificates, you have taken, you've received praise from others. Maybe there are certain things for which your colleagues ask you for help, right? So those are some things to find out, hey, I'm good at this. So create a list, right? The next question is about what do you love, right? Things that you love to do. What are you doing in your spare time, right? Generally, that's the thing that you love. What do you enjoy so much that the concept they call flow, right? That gets you into the flow. Maybe it's writing, and when you're writing, you just get into this flow and time passes by very quickly. What would you ask your friends, ask your colleagues, what do they think makes you happy, right? It's always good to get a secondary check. Ask your mentors. Again, it's very important. I always want to make sure that you don't necessarily need to be very good at them, but you do need to know what do you love to do. And again, I've just given some examples. You might love making stories. You might love crosswords. My book actually came out because I really loved working with kids. And actually this workshop I've done with children, because I felt like, when you do career counseling with them, it's very, very bland. It's about, those standard templates of doctors, engineers, lawyers. It's never about asking them what do they love. And so part of it was that this is how I kind of connected. I wanted to write a book because I loved working with children. I'm very passionate about women. And my whole thing was, how do you create passion for careers in women, especially in India, where it is considered a second thought. And again, I'm just giving you examples. So when you start thinking about it for yourself, you can apply some of what I'm saying. Again, make a list, very, very important. This I added later on after Kobe Bryant passed away. There was an obituary, and it just tells you, right, when you love something. This is the opening excerpt from his book, and it just talks about his love when he received his first basketball and how he felt about it. And it's just beautiful. You can see he loved it, right? There's no two questions about it. And that to me is love. So in case you don't know what love is. And again, as I said, this is actually Angar Watt, and I love showing pictures. So I wanted to show something where, that intersection is very, very important, finding those overlaps. So do you have something that you love and you're good at, right? That is your passion. Write it on a post-it note, what you love, what you're good at, and then you kind of build on the others, right? Again, I'll walk through quickly. So once you know what you're good at, what you love, the next question to ask is, how does the world benefit from it, right? So you've already narrowed down the scope. Now you say, hey, I'm good at music and I love listening to music, or I'm good at it. Now, how can the world benefit from it, right? And I think that's where you kind of need to define from it. Are people wanting to listen to music? What kind of music? And you just delve into that deeper. What problems can it help solve? And again, I know that a lot of kids or a lot of people are very interested in this whole environmental science and climate change. And if that is one area that you're reading up on it, yes, how do you, how do you, kind of find that space where, this is what, this will add more meaning to it, right? If I can reduce the pollution, whatever it is that excites you, again, put it down on post-it notes and say, this is my passion, this is how it can contribute to the world. And finally, of course, it is what can you be paid for, right? And this is very important because in the end, it's an economic need. And the idea is to saying, okay, how can you get paid for it? And how, especially when you're working in an organization, think about how can your organization benefit for it. Is there very, very important, is there a new service or product that you can create to fill the gap? Something to think about, something to build upon. And this is the last slide. I know we are timed out. So, I really like Rumi's quote. It says, "Why do you stay in prison when the door is so wide open?" So with that, I will conclude my talk. There are a couple of things that I do want to put, maybe there are questions that there is. So let's maybe hear if there are questions that we can answer. And I know I went very fast, but what I'll do is I'll make the slides available to you. And one of the things Ketki said was that we could potentially have a session, if there is interest, where you create your ikigais, kind of you create this map, and then we share it with each other, right? And we kind of have a conversation around that. Go ahead.
That was really, really, really fantastic. I mean, I have so many thoughts now coming into my head that I need to kind of see my ikigai actually. So as Reema rightly said, we're going to post also this template that you could use yourself to fill it up. And I think that needs a little bit of reflection. So I think it was good to have an introduction. So with that, thank you very much, Reema. It was such an exciting and interesting topic that I really now want to use the weekend, in fact, on doing this. For questions, as you know, we would love to have them on LinkedIn. We will share the templates and the slides that Reema just showed us as well. And of course, YouTube is where you can find again this video. So we're going to be posting that over the weekend. So yes, thank you very much for joining us. Monday again, we have a very interesting speaker, Angela Go, who will talk about how your ultimate pitch helps you flourish in times of a crisis. More on that on Monday. In the meantime, have a fantastic weekend. See you Monday, same time, same link. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.